Today's gameplay video is going to feature a deck I've been playing kind of a lot in the past month or so. And I've been playing it mostly because I think it's a lot of fun. That's Ultra Assassin. I'm going to go ahead and queue up now so we can get things moving. These games do tend to take a while, and so even though I'm just going to film 2 games like I normally do for these videos, it might take a bit. But I want to say that there's a couple of interesting things. One, I think I finally found a list that I think is, I don't know, correct, if you will, or at least it's very, very competitive. I've seen a lot of great things from it, but I also think that this deck is still good, if not better, after the Journey to Sovngarde change. We're going to send Leaf Lurker back, but we're going to keep the pet. Ungulum, when we're going first here, is pretty fantastic. And the reason that I think that it is better is because with the things not being reduced in cost, once you use Journey and you shuffle things back, you can oftentimes get immediate value if you already have an Altar of Despair on the board. That is not good. That is helpful.
In the shadows, the black hat. Waiting.
I almost would have rather had the Harpy there, but that works too. So this is probably either like Tempo or Goblin Assassin. We'll know here in a second.
My sword hand itches.
Oh, maybe we won't know in a second. Okay.
We know.
Alright, we're gonna go ahead and do this. There's a good chance that this is actually Altar and this might just be finding Cruel Fire Bloom. That's also entirely possible. Or like Last Gasp. My version does not run the Skulk and Fire Bloom package. Embassy. Oh! Maybe this is the Leaf Water combo version?
We know.
Alright.
For the black hat.
We're not going to give him a card yet, but we're going to be a little more aggressive than I typically am with this deck. Because if it truly is Leaf Water combo, this is a really bad matchup. I actually don't think that this version in particular has too many bad matchups. But I can say with a fair amount of certainty that the Leaf Water one is definitely a bad matchup.
We know.
And so with that in mind,
My sword hand itches.
we're going to be a little bit more aggressive than we normally are. Also, just because of our board state and having the schemers and so forth. I have to assume that Ice Storm's coming next turn.
Let's dance.
How many cards are they at? 7. Can't quite make him overdraw. We could crack 2 runes next turn, but that only makes him go 8, 9. But yeah, this definitely looks like the Leaf Water OTK.
We know.
So we're gonna go swing, swing.
Let's dance.
We're okay with playing that. We're not gonna give him another card for 1 damage, but I have to believe that we might eat an Ice Storm here. Maybe not. If they got more spot removal, they could peel a couple of things off the board. Maybe ping this,
Gotcha.
firebolt this. Who knows?
Gotcha.
We have a lot of draw though, so our plan to be aggressive shouldn't backfire. We can continue to pressure, which is kind of nice. This also could be, I don't know, like a weird Swindler's build, all sorts of
Gotcha.
stuff, but... Let's draw, let's see what
Let's
happens.
dance.
Ooh, I mean you're tempting, but... I can't do you and you. Not that it matters. This is the more important thing to get rid of anyway. So maybe this is correct. Take him to 10. The last gas from this would put him at 8, which makes Unkano not quite finish him if he does have an Ice Storm or something.
The Night Mother will
I think we just do
guide us.
this for now. Because we could have like drained one and then still hit the other one, but we haven't played any drains yet, so I don't want to tip our hand that we're even running them. Alright, so there's the Swindlers.
You're looking at the greatest smuggler in town.
And that is a Swims at Night. Just gonna make 2 copies of whatever he gets at random. And I have to assume we got more coming our way here. That's his last curse. But it does get back to Leaf Water. Alright, so they did a great job of making us not be able to threaten lethal. And as such, what are we going to do about it? I think we're going to draw a card is what we're going to do to start.
I lurk in the shadows, waiting. For the Black Hand.
Gotcha.
Now, we could drain here and then Ice Storm, but that kind of annihilates my own board. Could drain here and then drain here and then play a Brynjolf. Just really worried about him having enough for the Leaf Water OTK, because all he needs essentially at this point would be 2 Thieves Guild Fences in hand, and he's almost halfway through his deck. But other than the Ice Storm, I don't have a good way to get rid of that. Perhaps I shouldn't have drawn. Maybe I should have just Unkano'd that. But then he still, again, if we don't clear both creatures, then I guess it's kind of a moot point with the old... If he's got the combo, he's got the combo. Even if he...
Shall we put in the dishonest day's work?
So yeah, all we can do is hope that he does not have both Thieves Guild Fences in hand at this point. Which is why this is such a troublesome matchup. Because it doesn't matter how much board control you have, it doesn't matter what your life total is, unless it's arbitrarily like high, because then turn timers matter. But otherwise, this is a quote-unquote OTK deck, or one-turn kill deck. And what they try to do is you play Swindler's Market, and you'll play 2 Thieves Guild Fences, and then essentially you will make it so that with the 2 Thieves Guild Fences, every time that this triggers, Leaf Water Blessing comes back to your hand. It gets its cost reduced by 2 because of the Thieves Guild Fences. You play it on a creature for free, which then triggers Swindlers, and also returns it back to your hand. It's reduced by 2, and so on and so forth. So your creature grows while you ping, and unless you hit a prophecy to stop it or something, you just win the game. So right now we're just hoping that they, one, don't have that, but because they played Smugglers, they clearly don't. So now we're just worried about enough burst. So they have enough to do 8 extra damage just from the 0 costs they drew. But 8, it turns out, is not enough. We have lethal on the board, our opponent concedes. And we're going to go ahead and record that as a win against Leaf Water OTK, which, again, I actually think is a bad matchup for us there. Oh, hey, look, we're cruising. Late hitting Legend because I've been lazy and I was playing memes, but that's alright. If you were watching my other videos this week, you already know that. So, go ahead and queue up for game number 2. This time we have the ring, so we're going second, and we're playing against Monk. It's also kind of funny. We'll send that back because that is prophecy, but the other two are fine. It's kind of funny because this is meant to be a control deck, very, very much a control deck, and we were the aggressor there, but when you see... That's like the one time you go aggression. If you see a deck that's relying on a combo, it will probably get there long before you run them out of cards. Like that's just what their plan is, so... Let's go ahead and do that. Now, they might have a curse or something in their hand. They might drop a guard to stop that, but... Or they can just run away, little girl. Let's go ahead and speed bump them. Thieves Guild draws a card. This hopefully still draws a card. Either way, it's fine. We're really just hoping for... Well, we were hoping for not that. And we were hoping for something else that was a little bit smaller. Because we were trying to set up a quality Ice Storm turn. Now, anything we put here to contest this, he's just going to eat. But I kind of don't care if he runs... Well, it would mean that on 4 we would start hitting sweet rolls. This is an interesting dilemma, because this doesn't hit hard enough to make the Ice Storm matter on the following turn. I think we're going to go ahead and do this and see what we draw. And we're going to go ahead and just drain that. So now if he hits this, we don't have to Ice Storm. The Blackhand Messenger could potentially kill that. There's no way I don't think he doesn't take this trade, though.
We fight for all.
Oh, I take it back. There is entirely a way. We need him, yes, I was going to say to get something that does not boost health. So our Ice Storm is still very, very relevant, and I mean, we could just Black Hand that, but then we don't have a way to deal with that either. So if it was not the Marauder, I might have considered a different path.
What have we here?
Just give me a name.
What have we here?
I mean, that drain is tempting. It means taking a lot less damage. So we could do the --/ there and drop a courier, or we could also Blackhand Messenger it. But I kind of like the courier for setting up more draw. Also, would get 1 damage on that for potential trade back.
My sword hand
So
itches.
yeah, so it's okay to use your drains like that because we don't have any way to level them outside of playing them. I used to run Firebolts in this list, but outside of the first time you play Firebolts, it is better than Drain. Literally every other time, Drain ends up being better, right? So
There's a plan.
it's really just
There's
a Firebolt
always a
slot.
plan.
You're not really going for super shout synergy.
My scales look in shadow.
I'm going to go ahead and do this.
The Night Mother will guide us.
And that. And then just wait. We're gonna take some damage here. Would have been nice to have a second Ice Storm, but
My scales.
I think it's important to develop this now because if we're gonna develop it now, that was probably the opportunity, and we want to start thinning our deck
You won't spoil my plan.
and finding answers.
Shall we put in a dishonest day's work?
So you find me a 2-drop. Basically everything but the one that draws is good for us. I mean, ideally we want like a harpy here, but we could also just actually, what we're gonna likely do is nuke this. That actually might have been a misplay there. If we would have played Brynjolf first, then this would have us +1 Magicka. This one, when we play it, would potentially have been +1, though the Brynjolf would have been eaten first. Yeah, you couldn't order it that way. Okay. That's fair. If I play Brynjolf now, and I do this, that gets me up to 1. Ring is 2. It's still not enough to play that. So again, I can't really play the Brynjolf play here either. So let's see if this gets us. Got us a Marshblade, which doesn't help us a ton.
The Night Mother will guide us.
Let's hit you. I don't care about them gaining health, but this pulls more damage off the board. It's like that's entirely fine.
Careful there, friend.
Let's do this. Try to contest that, I guess. We could have also put it here, but if they do have a curse or something, this might die. Sheer point as well. Pretty problematic for us.
You won't spoil my plan.
Alright. Alright, so you're gonna find me. You've got a 50-50 shot, likely at a courier, a messenger, or actually you're more likely to get a pet. You're like a 60% chance to find me a sanctuary pet. Which matters more, I think, here than anywhere else. Kind of worried about Tazcad. Alright, let's go ahead and see what this gets us first. We're gonna do it on... Yeah, we're gonna do it on this side, I think.
The Night Mother will guide us.
Alright, fair enough. Let's see what we draw.
Let's dance.
Well, the Ice Storm is good-ish.
Shall we put in a dishonest day's work?
Ice Storm only pulls 3 damage off the board right there, so as good as it would have been before, like we could have played that turn differently. I guess that's me being punished for drawing
I
second.
can smell your feet. My scales move in shadow.
Ow, I was not expecting the Monk's Right. Alright, so that is a very impressive board. Ice Storm kills everything but these two. At 4, you're going to be a sweet roll. Because we've already gotten all of our 4 drops out. Queen is in hand. We have 1 schemer, 2 schemer, 3 schemers. So sadly, that's going to be a sweet roll. So we have to figure out how to deal with these two. We can go as high as 12 Magicka, but 6 of it's going to be used on the Ice Storm.
I can smell your
Let's go ahead and get our drain. It's really a shame that this is 4 and not a 5, because we would really welcome the guaranteed Leaf Lurker, you know? Let's go ahead and get our sweet roll. Let's go ahead and get this out of the way. We know we're going to do that as well. So now we're up to 8 Magicka.
Careful there, friend.
I am the Queen Mother. Attend me.
Alright, so you can get some damage through because the Brynjolf has breakthrough. What we're really hoping for is that they didn't draw removal for the Murkwater Witch. It was unfortunately a gamble that we had to take. We didn't really have much better in terms of like health and one-trick pony nonsense. But even if they drew removal for this, this would do 3 and then this would do 8. So we were at 1 health with 2 things being able to drain. So that was kind of the train of thought there. And with a guaranteed Leaf Lurker off of this altar this next turn, we're hopefully going to run into a position where we have cleared their board. So it's a little bit dicey, a little bit scary, but we may have survived. You know, they got Black Dragon and 2 Halfinger Marauders, but we got our 2 Ice Storms, so that's probably a wash. The Monk Strike, I'll give them credit for. That was a bold move, but it might backfire because that got their health very high, which means I can drain into them for quite a few turns without breaking a rune. So we shall see. Monk Strike, again, in case you were curious, is +3. So even if I have a Monk Strike to go over here, that again only leaves us at 11. Tazcad would have been potentially problematic, because you could do a little bit more damage, but not a lot. The nice thing about Ward is that if the opposing creature has breakthrough, so like if Tazcad runs into this and this still has Ward, no breakthrough damage goes through. A lot of people think that even with Ward it should only block 1 and it goes through, but it does not function that way, so it's a pretty important distinction. Wow, that ended up being even better for us, because we can do this, this. Let's go ahead and use an expendable creature and get ourselves a Leaf Lurker.
The forest is my cloak.
And then we got a lot of options here. I really like developing another altar, and if we're going to do that, I think Schemer is another way to go. So now, I think that's all of our 5s. 15 creatures in the grave, halfway through our decks. Probably still too early to use the Journey. So I think let's just generate some
I lurk in the shadows.
additional value. Lets us draw a card as well. That's pretty good. I mean, we have the combo in hand, but right now we're more worried about just not dying, so. Our opponent did rope us last turn. No fast movement so far. It's possible that they might have just got up and walked away and rage quit when they realized I was about to stabilize. Because this is now a faster turn timer than before, which means that they have not yet taken any actions on their side. But that doesn't mean we're going to be reckless just because we think they're gone. We don't want to fall for a trap. If they take no actions again, we'll probably just Brynjolf, develop again, and then pass, and then push for lethal the following turn. Because again, you do not want to fall for a trap. So you find me a sheer point that we don't need right now, and you find me a 2-drop. And you can find me anything I want. If we're going to try to push for lethal next turn, I think this finding like Unkano seems to make a lot of sense, or even just a lightning bolt. But Unkano I would think would make the most sense.
There's always a way, and
Go ahead
I
and see what our
can always
options are.
find one.
Maybe we do still have the 3 bolts in. I kind of like leaving the 3 bolts, just because that gives us potential prophecy stuff. Except we have no runes. Never mind. Turns out you forget how low you get in a game sometimes. No, I think we still grab the Unkano here. There's not really any 2 drops that we want this to fetch because we already have these ones in our hand. Next turn we have 6, 12. Yeah, we got more than enough. I think you just pass, like I said. We healed ourselves up to 26. Also, sure is roping. Probably could just swing, but again, you don't want to overthink it, right? Like the last thing you want to do is throw a game. I guess not overthink it. I guess overzealous. Yeah, there we go. There we go. So there you have it. I know Ultra Assassin isn't considered like amazing by a lot of people, but I have a lot of fun playing it. I think it's more resilient than it looks. I think it's got a decent amount of life gain, some good AoE, some good spot removal. It certainly churns through its deck a lot. It does have the Journey and Tullius Conscription combo, but I find more often than not games end long before that matters. That's really only there for control mirrors. That gives you the leg up. That's why it's just a 1 and a 1. Almost everything else is built for control and just outvaluing your opponent in terms of resources. This deck draws a lot of cards, and this deck does a pretty good job at, like I said, kind of like taking a beating but being a little bit resilient, and that goes a long way. So I'm a fan. I really enjoy it. The downside to using it on the ladder is the games tend to take a long time, but it's a lot of fun. So thanks for watching, and as always, until next time, may you walk on warm sands.